Do you remember the previous topic, the previous lesson? Do you?
Yes.
What was it?
It was about
Location.
It was about
Location.
location.
Continents.
Generally about the continents, yes? About the continents, do you remember? Then we have started the topic by discussing the major facts or geographical facts about the world or our Earth, isn't it? It is, yes? So when we present the topic about the continents, we say the Earth is the third nearest planet to the sun in the solar system, and also it's the fifth largest planet. And the polar diameter is different from the Earth's diameter at the equator. Yes? Then the Earth was formed before 4.57 billion years, yes? And then the Earth is the only planet that supports life, yes? The only astronomical object that supports or that harbor life. Then we said the continents, the current 7 continents were now 7 before. It was 1, then it split it into 2, Panja split it into 2, then Laurasia and Gondwana, northern continents and southern continents. Then we get 7 final, yes? Asia, Africa, North America, South America, Antarctica, Europe, and Australia, yes? Then we have seen the relative location of those continents. Then we have seen the relative location of Asia. Asia is located east of Europe, west of Pacific Ocean, south of Arctic Ocean, and north of Indian Ocean. And to revise for the Africas, Africa is located south of Mediterranean Sea, yes, and Europe, north of Antarctica, then east of Atlantic Ocean, then west of Indian Ocean. Very good. Then we have seen the relative location of the race. Yes. Today we are going to see about the major features of the continents, the 7 continents. The 7 continents. The 7 continents. We have seen in order from Asia to Australia, yes? Now you can see the continents, the 7 continents, together with the physical and the human-made features. So the first, as you can see from the table, the first continent, Asia, has the area world share or the area of the continent with the share of the continent from the total in the world and the number of countries, population in each of the continents, the highest mountain, largest lake, and longest river. Then Asia is the first largest or the largest continent in the world. Then it has 44.8 billion square kilometer and the first largest. Then it make up 29.9%, yes, 29.9% from the total land surface. And number of countries in Asia is 47. When I say number of countries in each of the continents, the countries are, those countries listed in this table are countries which are which have a recognition under the UN. So UN is the United Nations organization that gives a recognition for those continent. So unless countries get a recognition by the UN, they are not going to be, they are not considered to be a country. Therefore, here I listed only the countries which has a recognition by the UN. So that's why I said Asia has 47. That means excluding the islands which are under the independent countries. So we have 47 countries. Then when you see the population, you know that Asia is the most populous continent, followed by Africa. So the population is 4.2 billion. When you see the highest mountain in Asia, by the way, don't get confused with this highest mountain. And I see some students, in my experience, I have seen some students having a confusion with this Everest and the Himalaya. Everest is the highest peak in the Himalayan mountain chain. So the highest peak, but it's in Himalayan mountain chain. The snow house, the other name for Himalaya is snow house. Yeah, so the highest peak is Everest, but Everest is not a mountain chain. Am I clear? Am I clear?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so if I say the highest peak or the highest point on the earth, you say Everest. But if I say the highest mountain chain is what? Himalaya. That is in between Tibet and Nepal. And also it has part in China. Is it clear now?
Yes.
So when I say every time the highest mountain, you must say Himalaya, the mountain chain. But the highest peak or the highest place on the earth is Everest, which is part of the Himalaya. So Everest is in Tibet and Nepal, in between it means. But the Himalaya mountain chain extends to Asia too. When you see the largest lake in Asia, that is the Caspian Sea. While I'm saying Caspian Sea, I say here it's the greatest lake. It's not part of the sea because the southern mountain is high and the size of this Caspian Sea is smaller than the rest of the seas we know. That is why Caspian Sea is considered to be part of lake. The salt amount compared to the seas is less. The size is also smaller than the seas we know in our world. That's why Caspian Sea is the largest lake in Asia. When you see the largest, the longest river in the world, that is Yangtze. Okay, don't pronounce it like Yangtze. The right pronunciation is the Yangtze. It's in China, you know this, yes? If you have seen some movies taken from China, you may have seen this river. It has the largest catchment area. And it is also the longest in Asia, but not in the world. When we come to Asia, I mean Africa, that's the second most populous and also the second largest. You know this a lot, you know about a lot of, about Africa in grade 7. So 30.3 billion or 30,331,606 kilometers square, yes? And it has a share of 2.2. And by 2019, estimate in population, it is 1.2, but by the end of this, that means currently, the population of Africa is approximately 1.3 billion. So it is still the second most populous. But when you see the population compared to this Asia, there is still a big difference, yes? Then Kilimanjaro is the highest point in Africa. Then Lake Victoria, you know a lot about Lake Victoria, yes? It's where the White Nile starts, or the origin of the White Nile. The Nile is the longest in Africa, and also it is in the world. Then the third continent, the third largest, is North Africa. It has 24.3 billion square kilometer. Then the share is 16.3. Then in North Africa, we have 23 countries, excluding the islands. When you see the highest mountain, it's Makinile and Lake Superior. Lake Superior is the largest lake in North America. Then when you see this Mississippi, it's the longest in North America. If you want to know this about, there is saying about this Mississippi, you know that, yes? I am a river and I have 4 eyes. I mean, you know this, yes? I'm a river and I have 4 eyes. When you see the word Mississippi, M-I, then double S, then I, then double S, then I, then after double P, there is I, yes? There are 4 I's in the word Mississippi. That is in North America. So you can see the rest of the major features of these 7 continents. But let's talk about this Antarctica. Go to Antarctica, then Antarctica is different from the rest of the continents, you know, yes? Then Antarctica is a snow-covered continent. So number of countries is 0. Number of countries in Antarctica, but there are places which are named by different researchers and scientists. But number of countries which has its own sovereignty, population, and territory. So we have not these things. Since the continent has not these things, then number of countries in Antarctica is 0, and also it has no native population. But there are migrants, which are researchers and visitors. So the number of the people living in Antarctica is 1,000, but they are not native. Then as you, maybe some of you know, there is a baby born in Antarctica, only 1, yes? But the rest are migrants. Then the highest in Antarctica is the Vinson Massif, highest point. It's still snow covered, but it's that highest point or highest place, that is Vinson Massif. And when you come to lake and river, can we have lake and river in Antarctica?
No.
No, why? Why not?
Because they'll freeze.
Why? Is there anyone to reply?
Because it's covered with ice.
Yeah, it's totally covered with ice, yes? A snow covered.
The
The hard.
coldness makes it freeze.
Yeah, so there is no liquid water, yes, on the surface. Therefore, there is no lake and longest river. That's why we have no any word or name of rivers or lakes in here. When we come to the last one, Australia. For the Australia, the other name for Australia is Oceania. Then this is the smallest of all. Then it has 5.7 land surface share. When you see the number of countries within, that means in the inland of Australia, there are only 3 countries. But Australia has about 11 independent islands. Together with the islands, then Australia has 14 countries. That means inland plus island. But if it is only inland country, that means within the dry land, there are only 3 countries. Itself Australia, which make up 86% of the continent Australia, and New Zealand and New Guinea. These are the inland countries of Australia. Inland, within the inland of Australia, itself Australia, then New Guinea and New Zealand. Then we have 11 more islands together with the islands, so it has 14. Then you can see the Darling is the highest, the longest river in Australia. Taupe is the lake, and Cusco is the highest mountain. Are you guys okay now about these things?
Yes.
Yes, is it clear?
Yes.
Is there any question to ask about this major features of the 7 continents?
No.
No. Is the table clear?
Yes.
Okay. Now let's pass to the largest countries of the world. Yes, most of you like to search for these things. Largest country, largest and smallest, most populous. Most of you search for these things. So this is additional. When we see the largest countries of the world, the first, it's Russia, yes? When you pronounce it in English, it's not Russia, yes? And my experience, I know when I teach it in English, they say Russia. No, Russia is when we talk in Amharic. Yes, when we say it in Amharic, we say Russia, but it is Russia in English. Is it okay? So it is the largest, the first largest. So, it is in the continent of Europe. Then followed by Canada, yes? Canada in North America. And the third largest is China. Yes, the third largest country is China. Then the fourth is USA, Brazil from Latin America, then Australia as a country treatment, then India, again in Asia, then Argentina in Latin America, Kazakhstan. Then from Africa, we have only one country, that is Algeria. Yes,
Algeria.
Algeria is the first largest in Africa, but the 10th in the world. The 10th largest is Algeria, but the first for Africa. When you come to our country, you may want to know about our country. Then Ethiopia has a total area of 1,104,300 square kilometers, and the rank is 27th largest country in the world. Our country, Ethiopia, is the 27th largest with a total area of 1.1 million square kilometers. Then the population, most populous. When we come to the most populous countries of the world, then the first most populous is which country? You know this very well.
China.
China, yes. The most populous country is China. The most populous country is China. The most populous continent, if I say, it is Asia. In country level, it's China. China is in Asia. Then the second most populous is India. Still in Asia, yes? It's 1.38. By the way, this data is by the 2020, okay? By the estimate of 2020. And USA is the third most populous. The third most populous with the total number of 331 million. But for China and India, it's 4 billion. China, 1.44 billion. India, 1.38 billion. When you come to USA, it is 331 million. So you can't see the numbers, but I randomly see the countries. Then Indonesia, Pakistan, then Brazil, and from Africa, the seventh is Nigeria, was 206 million. Then Bangladesh, then Russia. The largest country in the world is Russia, but by the number of population, Russia is 9th, yes? The 9th most populous, but the size is, in size, it's the first. And from Latin America, we have got Mexico. So from Latin America, how many countries did you get? More from the most populous? Yes, Brazil and Mexico, yes? Brazil and Mexico are countries, the most populous countries from 1 to 10. And from Africa, the 7th one, that is Nigeria. when you come to our country, Ethiopia is the 13th most populous country with the total, that means estimate. There are different numbers when you search for the population size of Ethiopia. In some sources, you get 102 million. In other sources, 110. And also in other sources, you get 114. By the end of this 2020, then it's going to be 140 million. But from the source, I think it's 102,675,041. And the 13th, 13, most populous country is ours, Ethiopia. Then you have seen the most populous and the largest, yes? And also here I have the smallest of all in population size and also in size, population and also area. That is Vatican City in Europe. Yes, Vatican City is the smallest country. It's a city, but it's an independent country too. It's in Europe. So Vatican City is the smallest country in the world and also the least populated country. The least populated and also in size, it's the smallest. Is that clear?
Yes.
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 Yes. Okay. Any question? Any question?
No.
No? Okay. So let me ask you a question. Then finally you will see the distribution of lakes, rivers, and mountains in picture. Before taking the other topic, let me ask you one or two questions from the presentation. How many countries do we have in North America, independent countries? Afome, are you there?
Yes.
23.
23, yes? Then the highest mountain in Antarctica, or the highest place in Antarctica, that's better.
Vinson Massif.
Yeah, Vinson Massif. Okay. In Africa, the highest mountain or the highest peak?
Mountain
No.
Kilimanjaro.
Kilimanjaro.
Okay. How many inland countries are there in Oceania or Australia?
3.
3, including the islands?
14.
14.
Then how much is the total area of our country?
1 million.
Yes. 1 million.
1,104,300 kilometers square.
Yeah, 1,104,300 square kilometer. The least populated country in our world is
Vatican City.
Vatican City, yes? Let me add you one point here. McKinley, you know, is the highest point or the peak in North America. Then the country or the state is in Alaska. Okay, in Alaska, we get this McKinley. If you want to know the highest point for South America, it is Cerro Aconcagua. Cerro Aconcagua, it is the highest point in South America. The country is Argentina. You know Argentina, yes? Argentina is known,
Yes.
well known by its soccer players, yes? So in Argentina, you get the highest point or the highest place. And Mount Elbrus is located in Russia for Europe. Then Kosciuszko is the highest point for Australia, and it's also in the country Australia. Then Ellsworth in Ellsworth. Ellsworth is the place where we get the highest point for this Antarctica Vinson Massif. Then Volga River is also in Russia. Yes, the longest river in Europe is Volga, and Volga is also in Russia. And then this is also a battle for war. Many wars held in Volga. There is also a place named by this Volgograd. Yes, so Volga River is also in Russia. This is some points to add for you.
I have a question.
Okay.
If the migrants in Antarctica give birth, the child is going to be a native
Yeah.
pupil to Antarctica?
Yes, that boy, now this time he may be 4 or 5 years now. 4 or 5 years now. So he is a native. We know that citizenship in the countries where there is government, then there is a citizenship that's by birth or in blah blah, yes, by blood relationship, by law. So by birth, that is native for that place. But
Is there a government in Antarctica?
there is no. But it is by the law we know in our world, that means in our country, there is a law, and that law gives a citizenship by birth and by blood relationship. For this boy born in Antarctica, using our law, we can say he is the firstborn, yes, for Antarctica, the firstborn. But his blood is not related to the people who are native to Antarctica. There are no people who are native for that place. Am I clear?
Okay. Yes.
And blood is not related to the people who belong to Antarctica, but he's the firstborn. Yes. But sometimes when we say native, literally, it means for people who lived in that place for many years. Yes.
Yes.
With the minutes I have, then I'm gonna start this new topic. If you don't have any other question, is there? Is there any question regarding the no? Okay. So the major world language or major world language, that means spoken language. What is language for you? You know what language is in your Amharic, maybe in your English too? Anyone to define what language is? Not in the way I defined, yes? Not in the way I define. Using your own words, try to define or explain what language is. Anyone?
Language
Language is spoken or written.
is a human speech, either spoken or written.
Okay. So, in the way I define language is a system that consisted of development, acquisition, maintenance, and use of complex systems of communication. But that communication is particularly for human, yes? So particularly for the human ability to do so. Or simply you can say language is a method of human communication, either spoken and or, yes? It's not only or, and or written, consisting of the use of words in a structured and conventional way. And a structured means it has to be written in the way that can give us meaning, yes? And it has to be conventional too. You say language in your Amharic, you say it is conventional, yes? You must agree on the meaning of those words, yes? So the words has to be written in a meaningful way, and the meaning of those words has to be conventional. Yes, that means agreement. Then we have a science to study about the form, meaning, context, and so on. That science that is about this languages, linguistics. And in other words, for language, you can say tongue, yes? To say what's your first language, you say what's your tongue, yes? Or first tongue. So tongue is the other way or the other word you use to say language. So the science is linguistics, the person is linguist, and language is the human. It's given for human, yes. Other animals, they have ways to communicate, but all ways of communication are not language, yes. But language is given for humans. Then in the world, there are more than 6,500 spoken languages. Some have a written form and some others do not. But when you see some other sources, you may get, or when you check this sources, you may get 7,001 spoken languages. Let's take this word, more than 6,500 spoken languages. And of this language, 2,000 of them have fewer than 1,000 speakers. That means from 6,500 spoken language, 200 of them have few speakers. Some may have one, others in a family level, others only in a clan level, yes? And a tribe and clan level. So 2,000 of 6,500 world language, they have speakers of less than 1,000. When you come to Africa, in Africa, approximately we have 2,000 spoken language, but 80% of the language of Africa have no written form. 80. Only 20% of them have written form. Only 20% of the 2,000 have written form. 80% have not. In our world, we have most spoken language. That means the language with many speakers, it means, yes? Most spoken means language with many speakers. Some with native and others as a second and third language. But the list of this language you see here is based on native speakers. Based on native speakers, I have listed the first 10 most spoken languages of the world. Don't get confused with most spoken by native speakers and most widely spoken. The most widely spoken in the world is English, but the most spoken language by the native people is the Chinese Mandarin. Is it clear?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. So that means there are many people in China, and those Chinese people are many. Then they speak this Mandarin. So by native speakers, the first is the Mandarin or the Chinese language, but the most widely spoken. That means including native and second and third, as a third and second language as English. Am I clear? Many people in Africa, Asia, and Europe, Australia, and others too speak English, yes? Here we are also communicating in English, but my mother tongue is not English, it's Amharic. And some of you have the language of Tigrinya and others, or Oromifa and others, many more, yes? But we have this media of communication, English. And when you see other African countries, they may speak Swahili or they may speak other language, but they use language, some as official or national language, but it's not native for them, but they use it as a second language. So language is the most widely distributed. So it's the most spoken, the most widely spoken language. But by the native people, it's the Chinese. Is it clear?
Yes.
Is it clear? So the most widely spoken English, the most spoken is
Yes.
Mandarin. And the second is Spanish. Spanish, yes? Spanish in Europe, and the speakers are located in Europe and also in Latin America, yes? Most Latinos speak this Spanish, and also some countries of Europe have this language. And the third is the Hindi. Then Arabic is the 5th. Then Portuguese is the 6th. Portuguese, there are different types of Portuguese, you know that, yes? Brazilian speak Portuguese, but the Portuguese and the Brazilian Portuguese is different. Then we have Bengali, then Russian, French is the 9th, and Malay. Malay is the Japanese language. The things most spoken is the Japanese Malay. And the official language of the United Nations. United Nations is an organization which has a member from all countries of the world. So there are people or members who speak different languages of the world. For example, Ethiopia is a member of UN, yes? Kenya is member of UN. Portugal or Spain and USA, Canada, Australia, they are all about 200 countries in the world are members of the UN. Then they have different languages, but for official activities, the United Nations use the 6 languages. That means, for example, our Prime Minister Abiy speaks, he may speak in Amharic, yes, during the meeting of the UN, yes. When he speaks in Amharic, then the officials of the UN translate the language, this Amharic speech of Dr. Abiy into English, French, Spanish, Chinese, Russian, and Arabic, yes. So if someone also speaks in French, yes, for example, Emmanuel Macron of France speaks in French, yes. When he speaks in French, then they have to translate it to English, Spanish, Chinese, Russian, and Arabic. But there are also people who speak a different languages. There are people who speak Malay, yes. Therefore, these are the 6 official languages of the United Nations. That means you cannot use other languages unless you have either of the 6 languages. Clear?
Yes.
Yes. Here are the lists of the super languages of the world. The first is Niger-Congo. It's the first. It's not by the number of speakers. It is by the number of languages it has. And then it covers the largest part of Africa. Northern, central, western, and southern, northwestern parts of Africa have speakers of Niger-Congo. The number of languages under Niger-Congo are 1,544. The second is Austronesia. It has 1,276. And you can see the distribution by yourself. Then Indo-European, yes. Austronesian is, by the way, for Asia and Australia, and also Madagascar. You know, Madagascar is the largest island in Africa, yes? So this is for people of Asia and Australia. Then Indo-European, for people in most parts of Europe and some parts of Asia, they have the language of Indo-European, yes? Anatolian, Armenian, Albanian are of the branch. Then Sino-Tibetan, Sino-Tibetan or Trans-Himalayan, it's also the language of Southeast and East Asia. Then the third super language is Afroasiatic. You are familiar with this Afroasiatic. Then Semitic, Omotic, Berber, Cushitic, Chadic are the subdivisions. This speaker or the speakers of the Afroasiatic language are located in northern, western, and Horn of Africa. You can take Ethiopia, for example, yes? Most Ethiopians speak the families of the Afroasiatic, yes? For example, Tigray, Amarinya, or Guraginya is part of the Semitic. Then Omotic language, most languages of southern Ethiopia. Then Cushitic, you can take Oromify or Afan Oromo, yes? So most Ethiopians speak from the language of Afro-Asiatic, and the 6 super languages, Nilo-Saharan. Yes, it is East, in the East and Central Africa. So for today, we are, and I will attach you the picture about the distribution of the major features together with your note. For today, I'm done. But if you have only one question, you can ask. Only one, because the time is up. Anyone? Very important, with very important question.
No question.
Okay. So next time I will revise, and then we will send you the note together with the pictures on your Telegram account. Then study by yourselves. Then I will revise it next time. Study harder. See you next time. Bye.
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 Bye, Miss.
Bye, Miss.
Bye.
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 Bye.